Well, welcome to Community Focus here on Central Kentucky TV, Channel 6. I'm glad you could join us this evening, and it's Kenny Fogle here with you again, and hopefully we can tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world. If we can't, hey, we might make something up. Who knows? We're going to have entertainment, we're going to have a little information, a little education here. And again, we got with us Mayor of Bardstown, John Royalty. And John, first of all, welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate it.
Usually when somebody comes into office, they get a little honeymoon period. Of course, you were on the city council for years, so you were already up to speed. But when you started the job, you didn't start out in a trot. You didn't start out in you started out the foot hit the ground running. Right. And I mean, you've hit issues already that in 1 or 2 months. It takes some mayors 2 or 3 years to hit. Right. So what I'm saying is your honeymoon period was short. But you're ready to go. I mean, I don't think there's another word to say there.
There was no honeymoon period. I didn't even get a kiss. I did. I hit the ground running, as I said I was going to do. There were issues that were left over from the previous administration that should have been addressed, and I hit those head on. And we're going to address these issues and get them out of the way. We got a city to run, a $40 million plus budget that we are going to have to contend with, and that's what the people elected me to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I know when you went in, there was one of the big issues that before you got in was the city council, relations to the city council, how people got along, whether people were getting the right information. Well, obviously now everything's out in the open. I mean, one thing about the difference in the city council I see 6 months ago in the city council now is we had people grumbling here, grumbling there. Well, everything's out in the open now. I mean, you're all talking. Sometimes you're talking a little higher voice than others, but again, at the same time, the communication is there, from what I see.
Right, and what done that in 2013? We had a municipal order that was passed by myself, Councilman Roland Williams, and Councilman Simpson, and Councilman Lydian, and that we passed that municipal order to allow the council to actually do the discussing instead of the mayor running the meeting. It's a council's meeting. Yeah. And the mayor needs to let the council decide, and only time he really decides is he gives the information, and if there's a tie vote, he votes and breaks the tie. And that's what I wanted to do, and that's what we've been doing at this point. Yeah. So when all this municipal order, Mr. Bill Shekels' administration, we passed it in his, but it was never enforced. It was never taken off, and that was the very first thing that I said. January the 2nd is that I'm going to start this municipal order. We're going to enforce it. We're going to do it. We voted on it. It's a city law. Or city municipal order. It's like a law, and if we don't follow our own, who else should follow it? Yeah. So we have to follow our own municipal orders, our own ordinances, because we are no better than anyone else. And that's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, you're not above the law, so
no,
I agree with that.
No one's above the law.
Well, one of the things you also did is that you also opened the meetings up a little more to the public. Before, I think the public had to have something on the agenda several days in advance before they were allowed to speak. And now you allow anybody who wants to come and speak before the meeting starts. I mean, you don't get in a dialogue or the discussion, but and the people have taken you up on that. So is it a good idea, or how's it working out?
No, I think it's the democracy, and you're a military person, and it's democracy at its best. It works like that. It works good, as long as you come to the city council meetings and you want to talk about city business. Now, you can't ask me where I've been or how my garden's doing, because that's not city business. And I promise you, we're not talking about that. That's not going to happen. You want to talk about garbage, your electric, your cable, your street, police, fire. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about, as long as it's city business. If it's not, you're going to sit down.
Okay, speaking of city business, and I know this has been an issue, and I want to thank you publicly because this has been corrected at my house, but I know obviously you're upgrading the television cable system. Right. And some people have been experiencing some pixelation or some freezing, and I went through it too myself, but it's really been improved. The city has really done a fantastic job. Talked to Jeff Mills yesterday and congratulated him, told him I think he's doing a good job. But so is this something I know a lot of people are interested in talking about that.
Well, Kenny, they had a piece of equipment that failed, and I am not an IT person by no means. And to get Jeff Mills talking about it, he talks so far over your head.
Oh, I know that.
He'll lose you.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's a good man in the IT and technical stuff. But to get back to that, we had a couple pieces of equipment that failed. They went to a backup, and apparently they failed, and they're back online. Then there was an update and some glitches, and I think we're doing good. But the best thing about it is the city council approved last night that starting April the 10th, there's going to be a free preview of HBO and some stars. So watch for the advertisement, and that's kind of for the trouble that we've had during the wintertime and the latest things about the TV. So the council voted to give the cable customers a free preview for the month of April, starting April the 10th to the end of the April.
All right, sounds good. Well, speaking of last night, I know the meeting of now. There's an issue comes up. I don't know a whole lot about it, and I know most people don't either. You've got a commission that's been making a lot of noise lately. I know Luke Barlow was on the commission, and he's resigned, and now the same commission has come up with some sort of fairness ordinance or something they're wanting to talk about. What exactly is the fairness ordinance, and how would that affect Bardstown?
Well, it's a ordinance that involved a fairness that the rights not to discriminate, and it's pretty technical. And to be honest with you, I'm not really that familiar with it, but it was geared for the gay and lesbian community and it's a movement that's been across the United States that's been happening for some time, and they're making the ordinance to be changed to actually keep from discrimination.
Is it more of a language thing more than I mean, what I've read of it is it doesn't really seem to me like it has a whole lot of impact other than just changes the language around a little bit.
Well, about gender and about the family, there's just language, and a lot of it is the way it's worded.
Yeah.
So taken with that, and I wish I'd have brought my notes on that, and I could have actually read it to you. But anyway, we had a good hour-long discussion about it, and that was Councilman Copeland's agenda that she placed on the agenda, and that she was wanting to get that portion of it, the Fairness Act there. She wanted to get that passed, and so we had a discussion. When the discussion was closed, no one else wanted to speak, then I took a consensus of the council, and there were 5 council members that voted against it, and Ms. Copeland was voted for it.
Okay.
So we was 5-1, and that issue, in my opinion, is dead, and it's a dead issue. And now we really have to get down to it. I'm running the city, running city businesses. We got cable. We got a budget that's humongous that we've got to contend with. We have to deal with that. We got interlocal agreements that we have to contend with. There's annexation that we have to contend with. We have city business and to trifle over little bitty things, like this municipal order that's been in discussion since the day one, and which we passed in 2013, and it absorbs every meeting, and it's enough is enough.
Yeah.
And we have to move forward.
Okay.
We got a city, we got a business we got to run.
Well, you mentioned just a couple of things. You mentioned there are commissions. I know that you've got a lot of appointments you have to make to commissions. There's a lot more commissions than people realize out there. I mean, there's a commission on just about everything.
Absolutely.
And you're responsible for putting at least some members of those commissions together.
Right. Yeah. And what I like to tell everybody, if you want to sit on a board or a commission, and please contact City Hall. Put your name in. This town is too big to not have people get involved like it has been, and I'm asking everyone to be involved. Get involved with city government. Be involved in these the commissions or these committees. Get involved, and that's the best way to speak your voice. Have a vote and tell what you want. Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a city resident to be involved. What I think I understand. I think we talked about that one time. Is just anybody that's a interested citizen. Especially if you're complaining about your cable, get on the cable. Try to get on the cable TV committee.
And I have looked in the back. I've looked. I've called people, and it's disheartening to find out in this community a lot of people just don't want to get involved or don't have the time.
Yeah.
But it's get involved. It's government. Get involved. Make time.
Well, you touched on something also a minute ago, and it's a question a couple of people have asked me about. I know you all had a meeting last week on annexation. Is there something in the works that's, are you just talking about annexation in general, or what's happening in the world of annexation? I know everybody's concerned about, am I going to be a part of the city next year or not?
Well, the annexation, I've appointed a committee to the annexation, which is Councilman Hagan, Councilman Buckman, and Councilman Simpson. And I appointed to that. Nothing has ever been annexed for over 10 years.
Right.
There are items out there in the surrounding outlying lands, I guess, of the city limits. We have to clean up the edges of it, and they're looking at it. And when they get their plan together, and they're going to present it to the council, and we'll take a vote, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, I know last year we were talking about things that you said that wasn't necessarily privy to the council, but now you're in the mayor's seat. You've seen the budget. You've seen what's in the budget. Has that changed your priorities about what you think needs to be done? Or, I mean, obviously the budget's a huge issue you have to put together between now and the end of June. So I know you're probably working full time just trying to put that together. Well, decipher it, if nothing else.
Usually I'm, the city hall closes at 5, and I usually get out around 6:30 and 7:30. But my still main priority is the infrastructure of the city, and that one main issue is water. And I know everybody sees Simpsons Lake when it draws down and it looks like it's going to dry up. It's not, when you think it's bad, it's not as bad as you think that it is, but it's not. It is bad. So I promise you, myself and Larry Hamilton, we've got a plan together. I'm going to try to implement that as soon as I can, probably after the budget, and it'll work.
Okay.
It'll work.
Well, I know you've been out doing hands-on. You've been out with the sewer people. You've been out with the maintenance people. You even tackled a guy helping the police one day. If I ever got that on tape.
Yeah.
So you're sort of a jack of all trades in the mayor business there.
Well, the tackling that guy, that was just a fluke that I happened to be there at that time. Well, and the story behind that is when I seen the officer talking to the guy, there was always that thing that you could see. It's I'm either going to fight or flight, and not everybody can pick that up. Police or ex-police can always pick that up, and I knew. I said to myself when I passed by and looked, I said he's going to bolt and run. Sure enough, he did, and but I still have it in me. 55 years old,
you'll never get that out of your system. But again, you know that you're just only a couple months into it now. You got a long way to go before even the first term. And so I know your issues haven't changed a lot. I mean, openness in government and things of that nature. But is there anything right now that maybe have changed your mind over the last couple of months? Say, my goodness, this is worse than what I thought it was, or maybe we're not as bad off as I thought we were. I mean, where are you at on that?
Well, I've come to the conclusion, and I have not ever figured it out, where it's a part-time job.
Yeah.
You can let the kids play in all the rooms how they want to play, but if you're I just think and I look at it like a $45 million corporation. You have to be there, not micromanage, but you got to be there to know what's going on and which direction. And I'm busy all day long.
So prognosis right now, city of Bardstown going in the right direction. Have you just it's going to take a team to make it go the way you want to, but where are we right now?
I'm cleaning up kind of what was left behind, and every administration leaves something a little bit behind. So I'm cleaning that up, and then and I'm on this other side of it. I'm moving forward, and we're moving forward. And sometimes my administration says you got to slow down, and I'm like, no, because I know what I want to do. I know the direction. You got to get that going, and then I know here's another thing I got to get together. So yeah.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing up there, man. Again, appreciate you coming in today, and hopefully you can come in on a regular basis and update us on what's going on in the city. And like I said, hitting the ground running. There's all kinds of activity going on, and I don't see anything slowing down anytime soon. So you're going to be pretty busy.
Not in the next 4 years, it's not. I'll come out anytime.
All right.
Email me an invitation. I'll come out.
We'll do. I'll get that invitation to you there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, if you want to get hold of the mayor, obviously, I'm sure I've heard you mention this over and over. You have an open door policy. Anybody can come in or give you a call, whatever.
Yeah, just you can call City Hall, talk to my executive assistant, Kathy Graham, and she'll get you a appointment. Now, with that being said, I know there's been complaints where I can't get an appointment with him. It might not work out on the day that you want because right now I'm already, Miss Kathy is going into the April, booking different appointments. And when I first started in January, January and February were booked, and I was in there maybe 7 days, and I'm like, wow, really? And I know, and maybe it'll slide off a little bit, but it might not be the day that you want, but it's the day that it has to be because there's people that's been before you. Yeah. And then things that come up that that appointment may have to be canceled at a later date because I have to be here, or I might have to have an executive meeting with the BICD, or there's things that come up that actually need to be tended to, and not that any individual's needs aren't important. But I have to be here because I'm required.
Well, the issues are so different. I mean, you just came back from a trip to Washington D.C. Obviously, that some of the issues you deal with are on a federal level, not only going to Frankfurt but Washington. So there's a lot of things you have to deal with that people don't see on a daily basis. But hopefully, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I think Larry Hamilton and Jeff Mills and like I said, we went to Washington to fight over these. Retransmission agreements and the affiliate fees that we have to pay, and that causes your cable bill to go up. And
how safe are we on that right now? Are they going to do this every year, try to jack the prices up, or is it several years? How long is the contract?
The contracts are for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, Mr. Shekels negotiated to a point when he left office, and then I renegotiated and got a little bit better. Yeah. So he done a good job up to that to a certain point. Then he stopped, and then when I took over, like I said, I did. I renegotiated and done some tears and begging and got a little bit better at the negotiating the money part of it. But that's money that we have to pay out to them for you to have cable programming.
So yeah, it's passed right on down the line. So right. We appreciate you up there trying to keep those costs down. I know I do.
Well, it was interesting, and we talked to legislators. We sent a lot of information out, and it was very helpful.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate you coming in today, and I know you're busy, and you've got other things you could probably be doing today rather than sitting here talking to me. But you take the time out to come here and let us know what's going on, and that's our job to let the people know what's going on in the city government in Bardstown, and it's in your hands right now.
Absolutely, and like I said, stop by. It's your house, not mine. Just because I'm mayor, it's your house.
All right. Well, John Royalty, mayor of Bardstown, here with us right now. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll have him back. So if you have any questions, give him a call or give us a call, and we'll do our best to get the information to you. So stick around. A lot more to come on Community Focus. We'll be right back.